Welcome to the Thrive Nation podcast. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to give a bit of a disclaimer. This podcast is designed to inspire people, to motivate people, to take action in their healing rather than be a passive passenger. It's about agency and taking control of your life. Now, this podcast is in no way designed to replace medical or professional advice. However, it is a place where we inspire hope for those who are on this journey through storytelling. These are real people with real stories and real outcomes. Enjoy. What's up, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Thrive Nation podcast, where we share incredible stories from people who are inspiring others on their cancer journey, who embody that 1% mindset to take control of their healing, not running away from death, but running towards life. And today we have such a powerful guest, an amazing story. I'm joined by Justin. Thank you for being on this podcast.
Joe, thanks very much for the invite, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's been good. It was an awesome episode. What did you just want to share? What did we talk about today?
Accountability.
Yep.
Obviously the pitfalls that happen throughout your life as well, and a lot of the, what's the right way to say it? I guess the negative aspects of life can sometimes lead you towards having a breakdown or a breakthrough. So whether it's self-imposed trauma, or whether it's family trauma that's passed on, or whether it's just setting yourself up for failure through having bad habits and bad systems, is my daily non-negotiables. Regardless of how I feel or what's going on in the day, to have that set routine that I feed myself and I give myself first. That allows me to show up and to be the best version of me that I can be. And it's that routine and it's those non-negotiables that give me that ability to do so.
Okay. Yeah, definitely stay tuned, guys. Like this is an incredible episode. Like Justin's story, like I really appreciate you sharing this with us. So, no matter where you are, no matter when you are, I'm grateful for you guys tuning in. It's gonna be an amazing episode. Let's get into it. So thanks, Justin. We have Justin Gibson here.
Hey guys, how you going?
Yep, he's on the Thrive Nation podcast. He has an incredible story that I'm sure a lot of you out there will be blown away by and resonate with if you're on this journey. But thanks for coming on, brother.
Well, thanks for having me here, mate. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. How's your week been?
Your week's been pretty full on. I guess most weeks these days are pretty full on, juggling a number of businesses and a personal brand and a family and your health and all those things as well. It's a constant, but I'm loving the challenge and really enjoying it.
I'm always seeing you around, because we're obviously locals here, and I see him at the shops. I'll see him at another shop. It's like, oh man, but it's always cool to run into you, and especially when we have this sort of connection, this journey together, and it's been really cool to share our experiences with each other, and it's really cool to have you here and share your experience as well with everyone. So you guys are in for a treat today. But tell us what are some of the businesses and stuff that you do
that I'm into now. So I've just launched JustinGibsonOfficial.com, which is my personal brand. So you've probably seen some of that through the social media and the advertising and everything on the lead up towards this. And I've got some really exciting things happening in there. I can't quite release them yet, but they're not too far away. I've been working pretty hard at getting some amazing products and services and that together, aimed at helping families and people in general. So the personal brand is, leaning on the things that I've gone through in my life, the lessons that I've learnt, and, being able to pass it on to other people so they can live a life to their fullest potential, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that ties up a lot of time. I'm also a partner in a AI organisation.
Okay.
So we develop AI products for SMEs in Australia. So that's just massive.
Yeah.
It was very scary getting into that space initially as well, because that's not really my background, but that's been amazing. I'm working with some amazing people there and kicking some goals.
Yeah. AI is definitely on the rise. It's something that we've started to look into as well. And I was a little hesitant in the beginning
Yes, so
to
was
kind
I.
of go into that
Yeah.
space. But I have to admit, in the last 2 weeks, I have just been looking at everything I can
Yeah.
and educating myself and trying to just see how best I can utilize that in the
Yeah.
work that we do as well. So
Absolutely.
that's really cool.
There's some cool synergies there. And I guess once you get your head around, the technology aspects, a lot of people had similar fears when it comes to like, mobile phones and the internet and other forms of technology.
Yeah.
But it's what you make of it, and it can certainly strengthen your personal life as well as your professional life if you're, open-minded and keen to at least sort of have a look at it.
Yeah, and that's the theme for life as well. Even on this journey, when you open yourself up to it, like incredible things happen on the other end.
Oh, yeah, just
yeah.
even how we met,
exactly.
just the synchronicities around that. It's just been
Nothing's
a
a
trip.
coincidence.
It's been a massive trip. Like I've met both yourself and Tegan. It's been amazing.
Nothing's a coincidence. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I definitely feel like that's one of those things here in this case as well.
Yeah, very much so.
So you've obviously you have these businesses that you're running now, the personal brand right now, but you've been pretty successful in running and starting up other businesses as well, right?
Yeah, I have. I was labelled as that kid in school, and certainly kicked out of a number of schools in my high school days. But no, I was lucky enough to found my first company with a couple of friends and a $5,000 credit card at 19.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And through a lot of hard work and a lot of hard yards, we turned over $1 million inside of our first year. And we built that to, over 50 staff and over $3.5–4 million a year. So yeah, it was
incredible.
It was a fun time, man.
How old were you?
I was probably 19.
19. And wow, that's...
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. What was I doing? I think at 9, I still didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was at uni just like doing what I guess everyone is told in life is finish school, go to uni, get a degree. I didn't know what degree I was going to get. I just went to uni and did nothing with that. So like the fact that you're 19, you're building a business.
Yeah, building dreams, mate.
That's
going
incredible.
After it. Yeah.
That's so cool. And have you built other businesses as well?
Yeah, I have. That was just the first one. There was a few in between that weren't as successful, but that was all in the financial sort of services arena around stock market education and those type of things, working with stockbrokers. And then in 2011, I formed another company with a professional associate at the time, and that was around financial planning and self-managed superannuation and things of that nature.
Wow, yeah, you've definitely done a lot in terms of like building yourself and successful in that business sense. But despite that, like you've talked about your business like successes, but that's not where your journey started.
No, far from it. No. Like when I look back, as I sort of touched on earlier, I was a high school dropout in a number of high schools. I should say. I certainly wasn't the favourite kid in school. My teachers would commonly talk about me being a dropkick, and I'd never amount to anything in my life, and the school system just wasn't for me.
Yeah,
I needed something different that was going to be able to help me shine.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, the school system only caters for one type of genius.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely showed that. Like, I don't know if it's unfortunately, because for yourself, like, fortunately, it wasn't the mold for you.
No, it wasn't. No. But I think that just goes to show that you've really got to listen internally to yourself, because when push comes to shove, I think you know what you need to be doing. And whether you want to admit it or not is another question. Whether you've got the self-honesty and the courage to look at those things, because it's not always what you want to hear or what you want to see, but you always know.
Yeah. And so obviously school wasn't the ideal environment for your kind of genius. I'd say it was your genius, because obviously you went on to do amazing things afterwards. What were some of the challenges that you felt you faced afterwards?
A lot of it stemmed from, like, there was a lot of childhood trauma. There's like even some stuff that I haven't gone through with yourself, but like even at the age of 6, my family was held hostage and nearly murdered.
Wow.
So we were in a full-on siege situation. It was in Ashmore on the Gold Coast, and there were police and all the people on the front lawn. There was probably hundreds of them on the front lawn, and it was a massive siege. And from Mum's ex-partner, and the police and my uncle managed to get us out of a bedroom window, and that sort of stemmed a lot of trauma, not only for myself and my brothers, but also for my mother. And although she tried the very best that she could with what she had, there were still things that were passed on. And alcoholism was one of those things. But back in those days, you could actually buy the essence, and you just add like your sugar and water and all the rest of it. And yeah, that's what I did, man.
Wow.
So it was what's the right way to say it? Because I'm responsible for me, you know. But those things had a hand in guiding me.
Yeah.
From the adults that I had around me. Even my uncle was very, even though it was very cool at the time, I'd still go night clubbing.
Yeah.
At the age of 16, you know, and being exposed to that whole thing at a young age.
Young age, yeah.
I lent on that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and that was even though I thought it was cool, you know, I lent on that as my coping mechanism. You know, when I celebrated, I done drugs and I drank alcohol.
Yeah.
If I had a bad day, I'd done drugs and I'd done alcohol. You know, so it became that pattern, and it covered a lot of things up.
Yeah. So just going back a bit, like the siege happened when you were 6.
Yeah, it was about 6
and you had
or
brothers
7.
as well.
Yeah, a couple of brothers, one older, one younger.
One older, one younger. So that would have been such a traumatic event. And then I guess growing up in that environment where drugs and alcohol was so prevalent, you know, that sticks with you. And we talk about how on this journey, like there was a lot of trauma that sits within that never gets resolved until
Absolutely.
much later. Like, what was it like for those years between 6 to 14 when you started cooking alcohol? And I guess that would have been patterns that I'm sure teachers may have been aware of that.
They may have, you know, but we moved around a little bit. We lived in New Guinea for nearly a year after the siege, and Dad was sort of in and out, and then out, so I didn't have that consistent male role model around that I needed for that discipline and that firmness, and you know, to always be there. So I pushed, you know, like I run them up, man.
Yeah. Were you able to? I guess how is your family now? Are you still in communication with them? Or
I not so much communication with my dad. But there are family members on my dad's side that I'm still in communication with, for sure. And my mum's side, we're pretty close. And it's not always as close as what you'd like, but you make the best of what you've got.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's amazing to have that kind of sort of childhood experience, and then to go on to, I guess that would have been one of your main drivers to be such a successful person in the business. Would you say that? Like,
yeah, I think there was a couple. One, to sort of prove my teachers wrong, you know, to prove my dad wrong, and also to prove to myself that I wasn't a fuck up and I wasn't an idiot. You know? Like I could do something. I always had that internal drive to accomplish something. But there was one specific moment I'd stuffed up. I'd done something at school. I may have just gotten expelled again or something. And I specifically remember my mum telling me that, you know, that I could accomplish anything that I wanted in the world if I just focused on it, you know. And the penny dropped for me at that point. And it dropped, and I said, okay, well, I'm done with school. I'm done with all that, and I'm moving to Sydney.
Yeah, okay. So, oh, wow.
So I think it was about 16.
You were 16?
Yeah, about 16.
What did you do in Sydney?
I was actually the youngest person to go through Mr. Minute, you know, the keep cutting and the
shoe okay, yes,
yeah. I went and done that with a mate, and they had like a training school down in Newcastle. Yeah. So I went and did that for, I think it worked out to be 6 to 12 months with a friend. Yeah, and that was a good experience.
That was a cool experience. Was that like your first sort of proper job?
No. I was lucky enough to have a family farm with my grandfather, and to be able to go and work there. And I've made bricks, and I've done all types of different things on the farm, and I've done retail. I've done a lot.
You've done a lot. You definitely have been. You've been like a worker your whole life, and always striving. It's a great mindset to have.
In some part, but I also had bad habits. You know, and I think that really showed, you know, when push comes to shove and I was actually making some decent money, those bad habits certainly prevailed. You know, that it wasn't instilled in me as a youngster to, you know, to put half of my money away or to invest it, or, you know, to understand that it was a tool to be able to achieve other things financially and in your life. You weren't taught those things.
No, we weren't, and that's something that I've only just learned recently. You know, that money itself is an energy that flows, and when you let it flow and do its thing, then it comes back, and it's like, okay, well, you did well with that amount of money. Let's see you do more with this.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I've never looked at money as an energy that way. And then having people like yourself and others who, like financial advisors, who are like, you know, put half of it away, you know, be a bit more smarter with your money. So definitely that's something that I'm only just learning now. But yeah, let's go back. So you've had all of this success as well, but then there was a period of very like hardship, right, between 27 and 32.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So I just set up another business with an associate, like in the financial services sector, and that's a whole other thing within itself. But I guess within 5 years, I had my son. I'd been married. I'd been divorced and separated. I had been diagnosed with cancer. I had had numerous surgeries and chemotherapy. I'd built a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
I'd lost a multi-million-dollar business and everything that came with it, and I was potentially facing criminal charges and jail and a massive court case that came along with it.
Yeah.
So it was quite a full-on 5-year period.
That would have been a massive 5-year period. Yeah. Let's unpack this a bit. So when did you get married?
When did I get married? That's a good question. So my son would have been probably 12 months old, maybe 18 months old. So that would have been 12 years ago. Yeah, 12, 13 years ago now.
And so that would have been, was that before or after the sort of cancer?
That was before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go through the time frame of the timeline here. So you 27, what was happening then?
27, I just started the business.
Yep.
Mrs. got pregnant. Business was going well. Then the business collapsed. Then marriage. Then the court case that came along with it. That was sort of happening alongside it. My son was born.
Was the court case related to the business?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I was working with some quite well-known sort of people at the time, and they even though I did have a hand to play in it, I admit that they stole some money basically and done some things that they shouldn't have done.
Okay.
So.
And then the divorce after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
because I hadn't changed anything. I was still doing the same things, and I was still the same man.
Yeah.
Okay. I was still living the same way. I hadn't learned anything.
Yeah. Is this in terms of like the alcohol and stuff like that?
Yeah, the alcohol and the drugs, and still chasing the same things that I was chasing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then after, I guess, the divorce, and how old were you when you were the cancer diagnosis?
I think it was around sort of 28. 28, I think it was. Yeah. So I was diagnosed with testicular cancer the first time round, and that just started out as like a really severe backache, like lower backache, and pain in my testicle, and wife was meant to go out shopping, and I was in that much pain. I just collapsed on the couch, and to the point that she was upset with me because she couldn't go out and do what she wanted to do, and I ended up going to the hospital. And presenting, and I said, "Well, we need to give you a scan," and before I know it, cancer diagnosis.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm not too familiar with testicular, other than I just hear that if you're a man and you are diagnosed with cancer, testicular cancer is probably your best cancer to get because it's the one that has the most rate of success in healing. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. I was very lucky, to only get that, even though it was stage 3. And chemo sucked and the surgery sucked and all the rest of it. I was still very lucky that that's what I got, and it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah. What is stage 3 testicular cancer?
I actually had 2 tumours.
Okay.
In the testy, and it just hadn't spread outside of that.
So that's what stage 3 is. Yeah. And do you remember what chemo you were on?
Yeah, I was on a BEP.
Okay.
So bleomycin, that was a terrible one. And there was 2 others that came with it. Yeah. And I think from memory, please don't quote me on this, but I think it was over like a 12-week cycle.
Okay.
And I had to have 3 different cycles.
Yeah. And what were the side effects like?
The side effects were terrible. Like many years after.
Oh wow!
Just the feeling of it.
Yeah.
I'd still have these. I wouldn't say premonitions, but I'd relive these feelings.
Yeah, relapses.
Yeah, and I'd just feel it. It's really weird. But it was like lost the hair and really bad metallic taste in the mouth as well.
Yeah,
You could never.
With that, yeah.
You couldn't satisfy any hunger or thirst or anything of that nature. I think that's pretty consistent across most treatments. But I blew up like a balloon. I was probably 120 kilos. I was carrying a lot of water weight. And
I've never heard of. I mean, I do hear of cases of people getting bigger, but a lot of times people think you get smaller.
Yeah, I got bigger, man. Like I blew up like a balloon.
Yeah.
Just that much water weight, that I had through it. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So how long did that go on for?
Geez, well, I had a few sort of surgeries in that first. there was the testicular removal, and there was a lot of stents that they put in there to ensure that the piping,
Yep.
the urinary tract and all that was still open and still worked. And so there was a bit of recovery over there, but it wasn't too bad. It was mainly just the chemotherapy, which was the bad one there.
Yeah. So after this, how old are you now when you've come out the other side?
20, I don't know, it probably went for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably a good year. And then the divorce.
Okay, so the divorce happened after the whole cancer. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And then all the emotional things that sort of come from that.
Yeah.
The self-sabotaging and back on the drinking and back on the drugs and back on punishing myself.
Yeah.
Because I stuffed up again, and all these patterns and all these things they repeat.
Well, what did you feel like you had stuffed up?
Well, everything.
The marriage.
Yeah, the marriage and the business, and hurting people inside of the business and the customers, and not being able to be there for my boy. Him having to be raised now in a broken home. It's not something I ever wanted for him. No. But again, he's got two loving parents, so I guess that's all that matters. That's all that matters, But it's still, I hadn't looked at myself and looked what needed to be fixed and what needed to be healed. Yeah. And I wasn't always responsible for the damage that had happened to me, particularly when I was younger. But I'm 100% responsible for my healing. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until much later. Yeah. Yeah. So much later, obviously. You went through this diagnosis and the divorce and everything, but you still hadn't changed your patterns or your behaviors. Yeah. And then a reoccurrence happened. Yeah, it did a few years later. Yeah. I'd actually moved, or just about to move, to Redland Bay. That was probably 8 years ago now. And I was working overseas in the Philippines, working with some call centers, doing some consulting over there. And I got really sick and had to come home and cancel my contract. And ended up having cancer again for the second time. Yeah. And where was it this time? It was my kidney. Your kidney. Yeah. On the same side as the testicle, but it was a new cancer. It didn't stem from the first one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And do you find that may have been a result of not addressing? I guess we always talk about, we talk about cancer being a physical manifestation of things that you don't address, or, trauma that sits within the body and that you often ignore until it's like, hey, like you really need to look into yourself. It forces you to strips everything back, and forces you to actually look at it. Yeah. So do you feel it was almost like a sign, like, we gave you this opportunity the first time around and you didn't change your behaviors? Yeah. Maybe have a look at yourself again. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. How was that journey different to the first one? The first one, I had a lot of support. Yeah. I had a lot of help. I didn't close myself off. And I was a little bit more open to getting that help and support from the people that were around me. The second time, I was pretty much, it was just myself and my partner. There wasn't much help from anybody. There was a little bit here and there, but not like the first time around. Yeah. I was very much left to my own devices to sort out my own shit. Was the chemo journey and everything the same, or were you on different? I was lucky enough that I didn't need chemo for the second time round. Yeah. It was just surgery. It was just surgery. Yeah. And how long ago was that? Probably 6 years, maybe 7 years. So 6 years, 7 years NED. Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. That's such a great accomplishment. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Like, I actually just got the call from the specialist the other week. Yeah. Saying that I don't want to hear from me anymore. So they're done, and that's sorted. That's awesome. It's certainly a relief. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a milestone. It is a milestone. It's one of those things you just got to celebrate. Yeah, you do. So, right, you've done so much in your life, and you've gone through so much, and you've learned so much and grown so much, right? Like you talk about systems and discipline, right? Let's unpack that a bit. Like what's how's that play into your life? Well, now it starts from as soon as I wake up. I'm waking up at sort of 5:30 every morning. Every morning. It's very structured, and the first thing I do when I wake up is I look at my phone. I do some meditation. Yep. I set my vibration for the day. Yep. And I start by being grateful, for certain things in my life. Yeah, that's awesome. So then that changes my perspective on on the whole day.
Mm.
You know, and so, you know, it raises that vibration, and it aligns you more towards your goals and your objectives.
100%.
You know, so that's probably the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do every morning without fail is I make my bed. You know,
Yep.
neat, tidy, top, tail, the whole thing. I make it.
Exactly. I'm the same. I'm the same.
You know, and then I rehydrate myself.
Mm.
You know, because I've got one kidney now, I've got to make sure that I keep my hydration up. And,
Yeah.
you know, and those things. So I rehydrate myself, and I have some water, and you know, then start to get prepped for my morning and for gym and
Yep.
and for things of that nature, where I'm listening to some positive things or some podcasts or
Yep.
you know, something about business or something that I can learn, or you know, some Alan Watts, or you know, something that I can grow and learn about myself, or
Yeah.
you know, confront about myself.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right. But what I found through doing that is that I'm stacking wins.
Mm.
You know, from the very first thing is that I'm putting a line or a little dash in that as soon as I wake up every morning. And then as my day progresses, those wins continually stack, because how I do anything is how I do everything. You know, it carries over, whether it's just my attitude or the way I go about doing it.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And it's so important to have a system like that, because, you know, more often than not, you know, our days could be up and down, you know, and sometimes we might not hit our goal, but we always fall to our systems.
That's right.
And if you have a solid system, you know, like I myself, I have my scan next week.
Yeah.
You know, and leading up to, I'm doing a 10-day fast.
Yep.
You know, I make sure that my nutrition's on point. I'm in the sauna 4 times a week. I'm at the gym. I'm going for walks. I'm doing my meditation. I don't care what the scan says.
That's right.
Because I know what my system is.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I'm stacking all those other wins.
That's exactly right.
That keep me, like, regardless of what the news is, boom, I know where I'm at. And it's all about, okay, that might not be the best news now. What adjustment do I need to make?
That's right.
How
They're
do I
the things that you
recalibrate?
can control.
Yep,
They're the things that you can actively pursue and to put in place, regardless of how big or small.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find that this was something that came about from, I guess, your cancer journey, or was this something that you?
It happened afterwards, because even after the alcohol, I gave up before the second diagnosis.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think it's about 11 years now.
Okay.
I've been sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah.
But I was laying in bed, and I was still smoking cigarettes. I was still smoking weed. I still had the same attitude and mind frame that I did at the very beginning. I hadn't changed any of that, and there was just something in the back of my mind that if I got it again, and I knew that I would get some form of cancer again, that I'd never be able to forgive myself, because I had the opportunity to do something about it.
Yep.
So I guess that was the moment that I really decided that it was up to me, and regardless of all the excuses that I gave myself and all the, excuse the expression, but all the bullshit lies that I kept feeding myself on the reason why I couldn't do things, that had to stop.
Yeah.
You know, I had to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
And that's where my journey began.
Yeah. So it's that whole, like, instead of why is this happening to me, like, it's like, okay, what is this doing for me?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, what do I need to look at? What do I need to change? What do I need to learn? How can I do things differently?
Yeah.
Because they say insanity is doing the same thing over and again and expecting a different result.
Exactly. So
if I'm wanting something different, I need to be different, and I need to do different in order to get that result.
Yeah, yeah. Something you touched on, and I'm going all the way back here.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was around the guilt.
Yeah.
I know for myself, guilt and shame, because I can resonate with that. The whole guilt of kids growing up in a separate home.
Yeah.
Right. You know, but as long as they have 2 loving parents, and I felt a lot of shame and guilt.
Yeah.
For that.
Likewise.
And I fell into that pit of alcohol and drugs and doing all these things that weren't aligned, right? That it wasn't me beforehand, but it was just this deep dark place. And
that's right, because how we do anything is how we do everything.
Yeah, and I had this book where I wrote so much hate for myself, and it was like, you're shit dad, you're a piece of shit, go kill you. You know, it was really, really dark stuff. And it wasn't until the night before my surgery that I actually burnt it. And it was a big part of my journey where I had to let go of guilt and shame.
That must have been like a big pressure relief.
It was.
Like a weight lifted off your back.
It was. And going through that surgery where I, you know, essentially they had to bring me back to life. It's like, that was my old life. That shame, that guilt, all of that stuff, that's my old life. This
That's
is my
right.
new life. I'm not carrying that on
That's right. You're not
into
that
this
person
life. Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
Yeah.
That person's already dead.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's similar with your situation where like you're woken up and you're like, I don't want to be this person anymore.
That's right.
This is the standard that I'm setting for myself now. These are the systems I'm going to put in place. And
That's
this
right.
is how I'm going to live.
Yeah. And when I did that, I could actually look myself in the mirror and be proud of the man that was looking back. And I could actually say, I love you. And it didn't feel weird.
Yeah.
You know, that the man staring back at me could love me and that I was okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, that I wasn't shameful. That I could, you know, that I could look that person back. That was...
No, that's powerful stuff. And it's incredible. And like you talk about, you know, you've spoken a bit about how like male role model in your life. And now, you know, I'm sure your son looks up at you now and sees like this man that's like gone through so much.
I hope so.
Yeah.
he's only a teenager and he's going through his own things. But, you know, I just try and plant seeds and I try to be that man that he can look up to and set an example.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. I have two, you know, a 18, sorry, and 15-year-old. And so, those conversations you have, I love them. I love having these conversations with my sons and being like, hey, what do you think about that? And what are you thinking? And like for myself, my dad's a very traditional island man. And so there is never this like love, like relationship type thing. It's more like authority or respect type thing. Yeah. So being able to actually look at how I want to raise my sons and have these conversations is such an incredible thing. And I'm sure like as your son grows older, like you'll get to have these amazing conversations with him as well. Yeah. And you know, you'll be able to impart like, hey, I've struggled through this and I struggled through that and this is what I did and this is what I've learned. And that's such a powerful thing as fathers.
Yeah, it is. And I've tried to be really honest, you know, with him about those things because I think it's very easy. You're talking about shame to be shameful enough about not being honest with those conversations with the people that can benefit from it the most. Yeah. And I think that's where the courage comes into it. That you need to be able to be courageous enough to say, yeah, okay, well, I wasn't the best version of me that I can be, but you can be, you know.
It's all part of learning. We, you know, especially when we're raising sons, you know, we're raising future men. Yeah. And in this day and age, it's the idea of what a man is supposed to do has changed so much, and then it's changed again, and now it's like almost going back to maybe we need to bring it back a bit and just be good men.
That's right, and defining what a good man actually is, and what a strong man, what it actually means to be that person. You know, it doesn't always mean to have big muscles and you know, to be mean and nasty, but it's to be able to sort of show up 100% as yourself authentically, you know, and allow the people around you to, you know, to be able to lean on you when they need to, and they can look up to you in admiration that, you know, that regardless through all your flaws, you know, you're still there and you're still trying and you're still trying to be that better version of yourself. I think that's important.
That is so important. Yeah. Yeah. And this has been so cool.
It's always very cool, Joe.
How's okay, so like you've gone through this journey. What's, I guess, someone who's, as a man, obviously, our testes are a part of our identity. They're a very important part of our identity. And there is, I guess, a bit of mourning that happens of like your identity as well. Does that come into play?
I don't know. I guess a little bit yes, a little bit no. Yeah. Like they even, I remember the doctors asking if I wanted a prosthetic. Okay. You know, for so things were even. You know, like 6, 7. 6, 7. You know.
But are they ever even though? I'm always like
but no, it never really, you know, affected me in that way, shape or form. I've really tried to lean into it. That's, you know, the scars are part of me. Yep. You know, like it's my journey. I can look at it and I can lean back now and say that's strength. Yep. You know, I am the man that I am today because of those wounds. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. So if, I guess, like if any of you men are out there and you've been newly diagnosed, you know, what's some of the things, I guess, advice you would have for them?
That's a very good question. It's not the end. It's not over. I guess that's probably one of the first things, you know, is that yes, it can be a bit of a shock, and yes, you're going to have a bit of a journey ahead of you, but it's not the end of it. You can define that yourself throughout your journey. Do some research, look into things that are going to help you, you know, mentally as well as physically, because a lot of people don't talk about the mental
Yeah.
sort of journey that you go through. It's all, physically related. So there are some things there that could help. Like meditation was great for me. Fasting was amazing for me as well. Getting off alcohol, drugs, and cleaning up my diet, and eating whole foods and moving my body, like they're all magnificent things.
Yeah, for sure.
Breath work, that's another one as well. So there are plenty of things that you can do. So just have the courage to look into what works for you.
Yeah.
Because what worked for me may not very well work for you.
No.
Don't be scared to ask for help. You're not any less than of a man because you're finding it hard or whatever. There are brothers out there like Joe and myself that you can lean on. So don't be scared to do so. We've certainly got your back.
Yeah. Awesome work. So if where can people find you?
Where can people find me? You can catch me on social media, which is Justin Gibson Official, and the same on the website justingibsonofficial.com. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, email info@justingibsonofficial.com.
Yeah.
So even if you want to share your story or if something resonated, even if you just want to catch up and have a chat, like I'm an open book. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. We'll definitely leave Justin's details down below in the show notes. But do you have anything else you want to impart? What are 3 things I guess you would tell someone who is newly diagnosed on this journey?
3 things. Well,
or if you have any books or anything you would recommend someone to do or read or something like that.
One thing that done wonders for me was Alan Watts' Dark Night of the Soul.
Okay.
Like to realize that part of me, that was a really big sort of turning point for me. The one saying that keeps showing up for me that is how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's very prevalent for me at the moment. And your diagnosis doesn't have to define who you are.
Yeah.
It's your journey. You can own it, and you have the courage and that to move forward and to address the things that you need to address in your life. And we've been there, and we encourage you to have the courage to do that, and you'll certainly come out a better person for it. That's for sure.
Those are great 3 things. Alan Watts, the quote, "How you do one thing is how you do everything." Just taking accountability and doing what you do is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much for having me, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yes. And you're doing some amazing things with school and with Thrive Nation, and I'm really excited to be part of that.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. You've been awesome in the community. So
cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
I'm glad that I've got to share your story with you. Yeah, definitely. If you are, whether you're for business or whether it's around Justin's story, definitely hit him up. He's an awesome guy.
Thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it.
Sweet.